Welcome to what just might be the worst rated cruise ship we've sailed on yet. It's quite small, really old, and has a bunch of pretty bad and honestly somewhat disturbing one-star reviews like this one.
And even though just 33 out of 201 cruise ships are rated worse than this one, its rating is actually quite controversial as there's a lot of 5-star reviews on this ship as well.
So we decided to find out for ourselves what Carnival's third oldest cruise ship is really like. And over the next several days, we are going to be testing the worst 1-star reviews that we could find to see if this is anywhere close to paradise.
And be sure to stick around until the very end to hear our own reviews of the Carnival Paradise.
Now our first 1-star review comes from J10, who stated that the TV in the room didn't work, the AC in the room didn't work properly, and there was no seat in the room. Now honestly, if the TV doesn't work, that's no big deal at all. If there's no seat in the room, that's kind of weird, but I'm pretty sure we can deal with it. But if the AC doesn't work properly, I don't think we're going to be able to deal with that. So let's head down to our room to test out our first 1-star review. So we've made it here to our stateroom to look for a seat and to check out the TV and the air conditioning. Now, I can tell you right now that there is a seat in this room. It is just a small stool, but as you can see, it is a functioning seat.
I think that has to be the worst seat we've ever had in a stateroom. We're used to there being like a lounger or maybe even a love seat, but there is clearly not enough room for that in this room.
Now that we've established that there is a seat, it's time to test out the TV. We got a Samsung symbol and we have a working TV. It looks like we actually have quite a few channels here too. There are your typical cruise related channels, also some movie channels and a few other miscellaneous channels as well. So we can tell you not only is there a working TV, but there's also a pretty good selection of channels.
It's just very slow to respond.
It is. It's a slow but very functioning TV. Now the next thing we got to test in this room is the air conditioning situation. I mentioned earlier that this one's actually quite concerning to me, and it's even more concerning now because I'm not seeing a thermostat anywhere, are you?
Oh, nowhere.
I do not sleep very well at all if it is not cool. It does feel pretty cool in here right now, but the thought of not being able to adjust the thermostat does really concern me. So I guess we'll just have to update you on this situation later to let you know if it actually stays cool in this room or not.
This next review comes from RN and is one of the more disturbing ones, so honestly, I hope that this didn't happen because they write that they found blood on the walls, on the bathroom floor, and even in the bed sheets, as well as mold everywhere. So I think it's time to inspect this room a little more thoroughly. We'll start with the walls, and overall, so far, I don't think they look too bad. They look pretty clean. They've got some marks here. I see that there's a mark over here in the corner. That's pretty dark, but I'm pretty certain that is not blood. So they're looking all right. Let's check out the sheets. Well, I'd say they look pretty clean to me. So let's move to the bathroom. Now these floors are very dated, but I actually kind of like that they are blue, and overall they are very clean. And while we have looked around the room and the bathroom, we have not seen any mold, so I think it's time to move on to our next 1-star review. Now many of the reviews mentioned that the mini fridge does not keep items cold. We actually bought 2 bottles of wine. We are going to put them in the fridge right now, and then we will check back in with you later on to let you know if they actually cool down.
Our next 1-star review comes from Uni18, who had a whole lot to say about a really bad experience here on the Paradise. But to sum it all up, they had money stolen out of their safe on 2 separate occasions. And to test this one, we got $50 right here. It's day 1 of our cruise right now. We're gonna put this in the safe and check back in on it on the last day of our cruise to see if any of it goes missing.
After testing out our first few 1-star reviews, we spent the rest of our first day on the Paradise sailing under the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, eating our first dinner, and catching some live music.
Good morning, it's day 2 here on the Carnival Paradise, and while Jamie gets ready to head up to the pool deck to test a couple more of our 1-star reviews, I'm going to give you an update on a couple things from yesterday. Now, in regards to the air conditioning situation last night, when we were getting into bed, I actually looked up on the ceiling and I saw that there was a knob on the ceiling, and when I started to turn it, more air came out. So I turned it as far as it would go, a bunch of air came out, and it made it really cool in this room last night. We both slept great, so we can confirm that you can indeed adjust the air conditioning. You just have to do it on the ceiling. Now, in regards to the refrigerator situation, we did pull out our bottles of wine this morning. They were pretty cold, probably not as cold as they would get in your typical refrigerator, but definitely cold enough. So we can confirm that our refrigerator does work at least fairly well. Now we'll see you up on the pool deck.
We are up on the top of the ship, just a couple decks above the pool, which is where several reviewers complained of the size and crowdedness of the only pool on the ship. Mandy and Dr. Princess specifically mentioned the pool being packed like sardines, and honestly, I don't think we actually need to test this one because we can already tell that this pool is packed, but Skylar insists on testing it for himself. And for some reason, he insisted that for this test, he'd also need a beer from the poolside bar. So we are here early afternoon on our very first sea day, and from our prior experiences cruising, this is typically the day when the pool is most packed. Oh my gosh, it looks like sardines for sure. We're gonna have to ask him his sardine level when he gets back. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the sardine level of this pool? Let us know in the comments. So how was it?
Not terrible, actually. On a sardine scale of 1 to 10, I'd say I was about a 7. Now, while we're up here on the top of the ship, we have another aquatic complaint to address, but this one relates to the water slides. JoJo 2011 stated that our kids were excited to go on the big water slide, and as we watched them come down the slide, they were going so slow. Now, I could deal with slow-moving lines at the buffet, slow service at the bar, and other slow things you typically experience on a cruise ship, but a slow water slide is completely unacceptable, so let's go test this one out.
It's really windy up here.
Did you feel like you were going fast?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fast. I
Nice.
wonder if you're like a smaller child and you don't weigh as much, if you won't go as fast each slide, but I thought it was fast enough.
All right, time for me to try.
Yeah.
So I am about to break the speed record for this slide. You might not even be able to see me going down because it's probably just going to be a blur. Hello. I am, yep. Is it? Is it fast?
While Skylar's new friend did confirm that this slide was fast, this was another one he'd have to test for himself.
Here we go. It's good. It's fun. I think it's pretty fast. So after the water slides, we dropped by our room to change out of our swimsuits, and we arrived to a couple different surprises. The first one was this guy. Now, he's pretty cool, but we're not exactly sure what type of animal he actually is. So if you have any guesses, let us know in the comments. The other surprise was that we got a brand new mini fridge. When we left our room this morning, we actually saw quite a few of them sitting out in the hall, and apparently one of them was ours, and we did check my remaining bottle of wine, and it is now very cold.
Now, one thing you see less of on cruise ships these days are smoking areas. We have come across a couple on the Carnival Paradise, including one up on the pool deck and basically the entire casino. Now, the smell of smoke is a common complaint in the reviews that we found, including ones from Water Buffalo 26 and Dr. Princess, who noted that the ship smelled of pot and cigarettes. Now, we haven't smelled any pot during our sailing, but we have noticed that if you're in the casino and actively gambling, you are allowed to smoke. And that casino is located next to an open stairwell that goes up and down the midship area. So we are a couple of floors below it right now, and we can still smell the smoke a little bit. Now, for us, it hasn't been an issue because we are not very sensitive to it, but if you are sensitive to the smell of smoke, this might not be the right ship for you.
Our next few one-star reviews brings us here to deck 10, which is where you'll find the main buffet here on the Paradise. And you don't have to look too hard to find some pretty bad reviews about this buffet, whether it be the lack of variety, the long lines, or the bad food. But before we get to those, we got to address a complaint from JoJo2011, who wrote, "The sanitization on this boat is hideous. All of the hand washing stations, not that there were many, were out of service, and there were too few sanitizer dispensers." Now, we're in agreement with JoJo on this one, that sanitization is extremely important, especially on a cruise ship. So we're really hoping we can bust this one, and to test this one out, we're gonna head to the buffet. So just in this outdoor area outside the buffet, we already came across 2 sanitization stations, and inside the hall area walking towards the buffet, it looks like there's at least a couple more. We also know that there's 2 hand washing stations inside the buffet itself, and are happy to report that they all work. We have seen a few more sanitization stations around the ship, and it does appear to be pretty clean for the most part. So as far as we're concerned, the sanitization on this ship is not an issue.
Now that our hands are sufficiently sanitized, we are going to move on to testing some one-star buffet related reviews, and that leads us to this review from Cruise Eddie, who thought that the food was so horrible he had to say it twice. He also commented about the lines and the selection, stating that only 1 station was open at the buffet on his entire 5-day cruise. The line was 30 people long, and there was like 3 choices only. Now, at this point, we have eaten at the buffet a few different times, and typically we have found 2 hot stations open, as well as a dessert bar and 2 salad bars that are all buffet style. Now, our experience hasn't been near as bad as Cruise Eddie's experience, but we would agree that the buffet options are quite limited compared to other cruises that we've been on. Now, what we were impressed with is that there are 4 made-to-order stations in the buffet area, including a deli, a pizza place, a burger joint, and a taco place. Now, at this point, we have eaten at all 4 and have found the food at each to be better than your average buffet food. Our favorite had to be the tacos because the tortillas were made fresh, the meat was very flavorful, and they had a whole bar full of salsas and hot sauces.
Now, I know we mentioned earlier that we'd recommend skipping the buffet and getting lunch at one of the 4 made-to-order stations on this ship, but today they had roasted sirloin on the buffet, and it was one of the best items we've ever had on a cruise buffet, so if you see it on your cruise, we'd highly recommend it. Our next one-star review brings us here to the main dining room, and we gotta say that we're loving the looks of it, and we're also loving Carnival's My Time dining, which lets you dine pretty much whenever you want, so you don't have to plan your entire evening around a set dining time. Now, even though there are many reviews out there about how friendly the staff is, there are still a few complaints about this service, and that leads us to our first one here from Mandy, who stated that she sat with an empty water for 20 minutes and never got an appetizer that she asked for. Now, these two are both really easy to test because we both ordered an appetizer, and we'll see if they show up, and it's 8:05 right now, and I am about to finish my water, and we'll see how long it takes me to get a new one.
Skylar's mushroom soup already showed up.
It's been 5 minutes, still no water. I'm getting very thirsty. Thank you. So literally like 10 seconds after I said it's been 5 minutes, our waiter came by and filled up both of our waters. Not anywhere close to 20 minutes, thankfully. I feel like 5 minutes is an acceptable amount of time to wait for your water to be refilled.
And right after our waters were refilled, I got my appetizer, and it looks really good. With our waters refilled and appetizers received, we can say that neither of Mandy's complaints were issues for us, although we did encounter one thing at dinner that was a bit odd. So we really wanted to save this soup to eat it with our prime rib, but Skylar's having to finish it now because our waiter just said that he's not able to serve us our entrees until after he clears all the appetizers, which is a really weird rule, but Skylar is complying. Now, it has been years since we have sailed on a Carnival cruise ship, but we do remember having good experiences in the main dining room. But unfortunately, that has not been the case for everyone here on the Paradise, and that actually leads to our next review, which is about the portion size. So Timmy Rayon and Giggles 36KD both complained about the portion sizes being too small, with Giggles adding that they also lacked any real flavor. Now, we just got our prime rib entrees, and they do look like they're a pretty decent size, and both of our entrees last night were a good size as well. But the good thing is you can always order 2 different entrees for no additional cost. So there's actually a bit of a miscommunication, and not only did it get 1, 2, but 3 desserts.
We only ordered 2 of them.
We did only order 2 of them. We ordered the panna cotta and the creme brulee, but a melting cake also came out. We're not complaining.
Our last full day on the Paradise brings us here to the theater to address our next 1-star review, which comes from Stephen M., who simply states that the singing/dancing shows were bad with 2 exclamation points. Now, I gotta admit, I'm usually not too impressed with the theater shows on cruise ships, and the show that we saw on this ship didn't impress me too much either, so I'm kind of with Stephen M. on this one, but I do gotta say that there was one vocalist in the show that we saw who was really talented. But we have been really impressed with the variety of live music on this ship, and we've really enjoyed watching the band on the promenade each night.
We are here in the promenade to address our next couple of 1-star reviews, the first of which is another one from Water Buffalo 26, who stated, "Almost every night there were people dozing off by the pool because they had too much to drink. Definitely not family friendly." Now, we have been keeping an eye out for this and have found a few people here and there dozing off around the pool, especially like later in the afternoon and early in the evening hours.
Yeah, and you never know if they've actually had too much to drink or if they've just gotten a little bit too much sun. And as someone who has quite a bit of experience dozing off around pools, I can tell you that it does happen for both reasons or even a combination of the two.
And we will share, we were out on the pool deck most nights on this cruise, and even later into the evening hours, we found a lot of kids and families still swimming and having a really good time. So our sailing, we felt it was pretty family friendly. Now, if you have spent any time looking at reviews for this ship, then you've likely come across ones that reference the rude, loud, and disrespectful cruisers, that people are getting into fights, and that parents are just letting their kids run wild throughout the cruise ship.
And you kind of got to know what you're getting into when you book a Carnival cruise. They are known as the fun ship. They're relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of other cruise lines. And on this particular cruise, they only run short sailings. So the people that are getting on this ship are trying to pack in as much fun in as little amount of time as possible.
Now, we have definitely come across groups of people that I would say were rowdier than your average cruiser, but the thing is, they were just having a good time. They weren't bothering anybody else. They were very welcoming and friendly, and it actually makes me think of the karaoke experience here on the ship, because it was the most fun karaoke experience of all the cruise ships we have ever been on. Even though it was a smaller group and a more rowdy group, everybody was there to have fun. Either they were singing up behind the mic or singing in their seats, or by the end, even dancing.
There were a lot of kids on the ship, but they all seemed to be pretty well behaved, and we also didn't see a single fight. They definitely aren't catering to the wealthy, so you do see a lot of people on this ship from all walks of life, and as far as we're concerned, that's not a bad thing. Good morning. It is day 5 here on the Paradise, which means we have just a couple of hours before we're going to be disembarking this ship. Now, before we get off, we do still have one more 1-star review to cover, and before we get to that one, we need to check back in on a review from earlier in this video. And to do that, Jamie is going to be checking our safe to see if we still have the $50 that we put in it earlier.
All right, let's see how much it is.
Looks like $50.
All 50 are here.
So our final 1-star review comes from Polyphorus, who states he's been on quite a few cruises and has always been sad when the day comes when he has to get off the cruise ship until his cruise on the Paradise. I guess in a way that's the ultimate test of whether a cruise is a good one or not, whether or not you're ready to get off of it when it's over. So Jamie, are you ready to get off this cruise ship? Are you excited or are you sad?
I'd say I'm a little bit sad. I could probably stay on for another day or two. We didn't even make it to the steam room or the sauna, which are both complimentary on this ship, and I'm pretty sure there are a few more desserts that I could try.
Now for me, I'm almost always ready to get off a cruise after a few days, and this one was no exception. I'm not gonna say that this was my favorite cruise ever, but I did have a really good time. I thought it was a really good value, and I would absolutely consider cruising on it again. Now before we get off this ship, we figured that the perfect way to wrap up this 1-star review video was to share our own 1-star experiences. But since we liked a lot about this ship as well, we're going to share our own 5-star experiences too. So Jamie, why don't you tell us about your 1-star reviews?
I only have a couple of them. The first one is about the complimentary coffee. Every time we tried the coffee at the buffet, it was really weak. So we ended up buying the coffee at the cafe every day, and it was a lot better, but still nothing compared to the coffee we're used to on the MSC cruises. That is excellent. The second one has to deal with the pool. It does seem a little ridiculous to have only one small pool for the entire ship. During the daytime, there's really only enough space to just stand there and drink in it. So if you wanted to relax and spread out, you have to get up early or swim much later in the day when the water is much cloudier.
Now I do have a few complaints about this ship for my 1-star review, and the first one is from the dining experience. Now, I actually really like the dining overall on this cruise ship, and last night I got ribs, which were really good, but they came with a side of coleslaw, which was really warm, and I've never had warm coleslaw before, and I gotta tell you, I never want to have it again. The other complaint about this ship is just that it's kind of small, and normally I don't mind small cruises unless the seas are really rough, and the seas during this cruise were some of the roughest of any cruise we've ever been on. And small ships like the Paradise just don't handle the big waves as well as the larger ships. And being someone that does get seasick a little bit, I often found myself to be a little bit nauseous, and worse than that, it caused me to spill some of my martini.
So Skylar insisted on getting a martini on the roughest day we've had yet. It's been a little challenging.
Lose too much.
I think you did really good. You just lost a little bit, I think.
Now the biggest complaint for me has to do with the bars. There's only 2 outdoor bars on this ship, and both of them are located right by the pool, which during the daytime is often blasting loud music, so I just wish they had another bar on the front or the back or side of the ship that was away from the loud music, that was a little more chill.
My first 5-star experience has to be the service on this ship. Every night in the main dining room, the staff was on point. They were getting us waters right away, asking us if we needed something from the bar, bringing us bread, taking our order, and the food came out very quickly as well. Also, when we were out and about on the pool deck and also on the Serenity deck, staff were constantly asking us if we needed a drink. So overall, we were really impressed with the service. My next 5-star experience is from dining at the made-to-order stations in the buffet area. There was a pizza place, a deli, a taco shop, and a burger joint. We ate at all 4 of them and thought the food was really good, and we really liked that it was all made fresh. Now my last 5-star experience is the dessert, and if you're at all familiar with Carnival, then you probably know about their melting cake. It is absolutely divine, so if you're a chocolate lover, you have to give it a try. And I also love that I could get soft serve ice cream almost any time of day.
Now my first 5-star review on this ship has to do with the bars, and although I didn't love the location of all the bars on this ship, I did love that they offered a good variety of craft beers. On many cruise lines, there's just one bar that has a good selection of beers, but on the Paradise, several bars had a great selection of craft beers, and I loved it. Now for my second 5-star experience, I know Jamie already mentioned the made-to-order stations, but I have to specifically mention the taco spot. They had really fresh tasting tortillas, both the pork and the chicken was tender and flavorful, and they also had both a salsa bar and a hot sauce bar. Now my final 5-star experience has to do with this room where we did not find one single drop of blood on the walls, floors, or bed sheets.
It's time for us to get off of this ship, but if you're considering booking your own cruise on the Paradise or just want to see more of what this ship has to offer, then go ahead and click on this video next.
Thanks for watching.